नमस्कार दोस्तों, एक और नए वीडियो के साथ ऑल अबाउट फीलिंग्स में आपका स्वागत है। आज की वीडियो की टॉपिक है गांजा। आप सभी लोग कमोबेश गांजा के बारे में जानते होंगे। साई दीपक जी का एक वीडियो मिला VHU में लेक्चर देते हुए, जहां वो गांजा के लीगलाइजेशन के बारे में बता रहे थे। मुझे वीडियो काफी इंफॉर्मेटिव लगा, इसीलिए आप लोगों से शेयर करने के लिए वीडियो डाला। वीडियो शुरू करने से पहले चैनल में जो लोग नए हैं, चैनल को सब्सक्राइब जरूर कर लेना। वीडियो अगर अच्छा लगे तो लाइक शेयर, और अगर बुरा लगे तो कमेंट में जरूर बताना, ताकि मैं और अच्छे से कर सकूं। तो चलिए सुनते हैं साई जी की जुबानी।
Now assume for a moment that there is a legislation or an act, let's just call it an act, which was passed in 1970. I'll give you a very popular example. So I am now fighting for, and this must be fairly popular for students, decriminalization of ganja. Okay, I am saying that it must be made legal, or at least it should not be criminal. Now, when did ganja become illegal in this country? Just give me a ballpark figure. When do you think it became illegal in India? 80s, right? 1985. So ganja was legal until 85, but suddenly it became criminal post 1985, right? Therefore, it continues to be illegal today. Not fully illegal, because the state still has the power to prescribe a certain limit for personal consumption. I think in Bengal it's about 20 to 28 grams. You can consume it legally. Now, if today somebody were to challenge that legislation, the NDPS Act of 1985, which we have before the Delhi High Court, and we say that a legislation that was passed in 1985 is illegal today, and I'm asking the court to recognize a new form of right, then effectively what is happening? A pre-existing legislation can be reviewed by the court and create a new right which was not recognized when the act came into existence in 1985. You see how the process works. Why? What is the logic of this? How is this possible? The assumption is, as time goes by, certain acts lose value and they are no more relevant, because new material has come about to show why that act is wrong. So for instance, how many people know that cannabis, ganja, marijuana is effectively used for cancer treatment today? Cannabinoids are used for cancer treatment. It is used for pain management. So the British actually came about with a report called the Indian Drug Hemp Commission report in 1890s, which you should just read, where they wanted to ban ganja. Then they realized that it is so inherent to the spiritual, medicinal and cultural practices of India that they said it's best left untouched. But an Indian government decides to ban it in 1985. That's an interesting point. Okay. Why is all of this relevant? So an existing legislation and an old legislation can be challenged, and it can be struck down to give rise to new rights which did not exist when the legislation was passed. Understand that. Okay? That is the nature of a fundamental right, which means you have the option of challenging a legislation every few years to see if the circumstances have changed, warranting the reinterpretation of that particular act. 2009, the Delhi High Court holds that homosexuality is legal, or at least Article 377 is unconstitutional. Then the Supreme Court in a constitution bench basically says, I'm sorry, there is a problem with it. The Delhi High Court was wrong and the provision is right. Then in 2018, they come out with a new decision saying that the Delhi High Court was right. So when you think of law, you will have to be slightly more fluid in your thinking, because not everything is black and white, and it is always a question of the circumstance in which you challenge a certain issue or you raise a certain issue, which is why it is extremely contextual.
तो वीडियो आप लोगों ने देखा, ये असल में मुझसे समझने में गलती हो गई। ये सिर्फ गांजा के बारे में नहीं था। वो एक जगह अपने लेक्चर में बोलते हुए गांजा का रेफरेंस लेके आए थे कि गांजा 1980 से पहले इंडिया में लीगल था, लेकिन 1980 के बाद आई थिंक 1985 के बाद गांजा बैन कर दिया गया। अभी भी वो बैन ही है ऑल ओवर इंडिया। कुछ स्टेट को छोड़ के, क्योंकि स्टेट के पास भी पावर रहता है कुछ, वो हर एक स्टेट में अपना अलाउ कुछ करता है। जैसे बंगाल के बारे में बताया कि बंगाल में 20 to 25 ड्रम्स अलाउड है। वो रूल एक बार चेंज हो गया, उसके बाद से वो रिवील नहीं हुआ, मतलब एक बार उसको बैन कर दिया, उसके बाद और उसमें कोई सुनवाई नहीं हुआ, उसमें कुछ क्या बोलते हैं उसको, वो चेंज भी नहीं हुआ। इसीलिए उन्होंने साई जी ने एक पिटीशन डाला है गांजा को लीगल बनाने के लिए। तो लीगल एस्पेक्ट से भी कुछ आपको शायद जानने को मिला है। मेरे लिए काफ़ी इन्फॉर्मेटिव था। बाकी आप लोग कमेंट पे बताइए। थैंक यू फॉर वॉचिंग। मिलते हैं नेक्स्ट वीडियो में।